Have you ever seen someone ruin their reputation in a matter of minutes? My sister Janet has ADHD and OCD, and because of it growing up, my mother sheltered her way more than any normal parent should. She believed her disorders made her abnormal, and banned my sister from hanging out with kids who weren't disabled, stopped her from joining clubs or extracurriculars, and refused to let her learn to cook or clean or do anything for herself. She didn't even let my sister shower unsupervised. And so, Janet came into adulthood as an 18-year-old with the capabilities of a 5-year-old. To this day, I don't know why our mom decided she could live alone, but she did. Of course, this was a terrible idea. My sister left a cardboard box on the heated stove and almost set the apartment on fire on her first day living alone. She also almost got arrested on the second day for yelling at the neighbor's kid, asking to come play with him. Janet later explained she did it because she wasn't allowed to have friends when she was young, so now that she had freedom, she wanted to be friends with everybody. It was extremely wholesome, and I advocated for my mom to let her move in with me so I can teach her how to live, but my mom refused. And so, my sister moved back into our house that same day, where once again, she was coddled by our mom. She was 19 years old, still had a 7 p.m. curfew, and a strict no boys policy enforced by our mom, and because of our mom, my sister went insane. After our mom told Janet that Janet has to wait for mom to be home before microwaving some leftovers so our mom could be there in case anything goes wrong, Janet lost it. She screamed over the phone that she wasn't some R-word who was 4 years old and needed her diaper change. She let it all out, telling our mom that she was the way she was not because of her mental disorders, but because of her. My mom cried over the phone, but Janet hung up and packed her bags. She left the house before my mom even arrived home. I later heard my mother actually reported her missing, just so the cops would bring Janet back to her, even though Janet had specifically sent voicemails saying she is fine and doesn't want to speak to mom. The thing was, we were all devastated. Janet wasn't answering our phone calls, our texts, and essentially ghosted all of us in one go. We didn't hear about her until a few months later, when we saw her name on the news. She was being sent to prison for larceny. She had stolen AirPods. That was the last time we heard of her for about 8 years, until last Thanksgiving. She reached out to me with an apology email. She said she was sorry for everything she did in the past. She talked about how prison transformed her, taught her how to behave, how to act like a grown woman, and she asked me if she could host Thanksgiving to prove she had changed. Our family discussed it, and we decided there was no harm in seeing her again. But then we came over to her apartment, and we were in awe. She had a very charming, well-mannered and respectful boyfriend. Her apartment was squeaky clean, beautifully decorated for Thanksgiving, and she was extremely pleasant and kind. Her boyfriend took our jackets and led us to the dining room, where we saw a table full of the most delicious-looking meals I had ever seen. Mac and cheese, stuffed turkey, cornbread, and so much more. Her and her boyfriend had cooked them all together. They were so polite the whole evening too. But the thing that really sealed the deal and transformed her reputation? My father started having an asthma attack. He hasn't had one in over a decade. Nobody in my family noticed, but my sister did. She ran to her cabinet, where she pulled out an inhaler and gave it to my dad. Only then did the rest of us realize what was happening. My dad used it, and felt better instantly. At first, we all thought it must have been some kind of miracle that my sister's boyfriend suffers from asthma too. But no, he doesn't. Turns out, my sister remembered that our dad used to have asthma, which would get triggered after he ate big meals. And so she went out, and through a friend got a prescription to buy an inhaler specifically, in case of emergency. We were shocked when we found out, especially our mother, who for the first time in her life, recognized my sister as capable and truly wonderful.